Welcome back to Snetterton, everybody. We've got the final race of the season coming up for you in the Woods Food Services Porsche Club Motorsport Boxster Cup here at Snetterton under, well, cloudy skies but warm ambient temperature. However, there is quite a breeze. Now, this grid is based on the second fastest times that the cars set in qualifying over the course of this morning. If you didn't join us for the first race, well, why not will be the first question, because you missed an absolutely cracking race between Jonathan Lovell and Mike Thompson for the win. However, Jonathan Lovell transgressed the circuit limits a few too many times and therefore was given a 10-second penalty, so it was Mike Thompson that took his second win of the season. We should be able to guide you through the grid then and the way that they line up for this final race of the 2023 championship season. So it is Jonathan Lovell that starts from pole position. He has already crowned the champion for this year, and alongside is Mike Thompson, who is the runner-up in this year's championship. Faye Noble-Evans is there on row number 2, and for company she's got Wayne Gregory, who sits alongside her. Then as we move on to the third row of the grid, on the inside of the third row it's Jessica Wilkinson, and then it's Perry Darling, who had a busy old race earlier on today. Then row number 4, Sarah Thompson, who had a spin in the race earlier on today, so she'll be hoping for better fortune. She's got Eric Bridges that joins her on the fourth row of the grid. And then it should be Ashley White, who sits there on row number 5, and alongside Ashley White will be Sarah Wood, who is in 10th position on the grid. Then it's Phil Graham, who is alongside Will Toon on the 6th row of the grid. And then as we move on to the 7th row of the grid, on the 7th row we have on the inside of that 7th row of the grid Craig Horvath, and alongside him is going to be Tony Levy, who is at the back of this 14-car Porsche Boxster field. So Jonathan Lovell already crowned the champion, Mike Thompson already crowned the runner-up for this year, but as for who might finish 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th in the championship, that's still a little bit up for debate as the cars head around towards the end of their formation lap on the Snetterton 300. So it's a full 300 configuration, so that includes the infield section, so through Palmer and Agostini and Hamilton and Oggies, and then kinking right at this point here through Williams onto the Bentley straight. Now, Mike Thompson claimed his second win of the season earlier on today. Jonathan Lovell has made it, I think, is it 10 wins, did I say earlier on today, so far this season for him. The only other driver that has won a race so far this season is the driver that won the very first round, Tom Andrew, regular Morgan racer, who joined us for that round, and also Brands Hatch for rounds 3 and 4 of the championship, but we've not seen him in the championship since. But Tom Andrew is the only other driver other than Mike Thompson who has beaten John Lovell over the course of the 2023 championship season. So can John Lovell this time convert pole position to the race win, which he failed to do last time, because when the lights went out it was a better start from Mike Thompson and Jonathan Lovell was always second in the race. He did briefly lead, but as we say, then picked up a 5-second penalty and then went beyond the circuit limits again. It became a 10-second penalty. There was a little bit of contact, but only light contact between the pair, because the racing was very, very hard, but it was also very, very fair, it was fair to say. So let's see what happens in this one. There towards the tail end of the field is Tony Levy, who clambered up to 8th earlier on in the race, having started off the back of the grid earlier on, so he'll be hoping that he might be able to pick up a few more places once more. As for the last time this season, the cars head around through a formation lap, and this won't be the last Porsche Club Great Britain race of the season, because we do have the main Porsche Club with Pirelli race coming up later on this afternoon at Snetterton, but it's the last Boxster Cup race of the championship season. So last time we'll see the Class 3 cars out on circuit this year, with their 2024 championship season shortly to be announced, if not already. So our ever hard-working Snetterton marshals just making sure that everybody is ready to line up in the correct positions at the start. So it's the largely silver car but with the blue wheels of Jonathan Lovell that's on pole position, the white car with the black and the red stripe, very much Porsche Works colours nowadays, that's there alongside, which is Mike Thompson. It's black and pink for Faye Noble-Evans alongside the largely blue car with a few little gold flashes to it, the number 53 car of Wayne Gregory on row number 3. And row 4 is Jessica Wilkinson, who's silver, pink, purple, yellow, stripes down the centre of it, alongside the largely dark blue car of Perry Darling, but he's got some silver and some lighter green flashes to it. So it's a breezy day here at Snetterton. It's still a warm day out there, and we are about to see the 5-second board held aloft and the red lights hopefully come on for the final time this season. in the Porsche Boxster Cup Championship. 25 minutes are on the clock, and we are about to get our final race of the 2023 Woods Food Services Porsche Club Motorsport Boxster Cup underway. The lights go out, and there's a little bit of, I think, shuffling mid-pack. We've got two cars that are going to have 10-second delayed starts, but it is going to be, again, from the outside of the front row of the grid, Mike Thompson that leads the charge up towards Ritchie's for the first time, and it will be Jonathan Lovell that's there in second position by the look of things. A good start from Wayne Gregory sees his dark blue car come through into third position, but the leading pair have already got a bit of daylight between themselves and the squabbling pack behind. So it might be Perry Darling that's there in fourth place. It's Sarah Thompson that's fifth. Sixth is Ashley White, and Faye Noble Evans, who started third, the black car with the pink flashes, has tumbled down towards the tail end of the top six, so it really wasn't a great start for her at all when the lights went out. She is still coming under pressure from the car behind, which will be the purple and light green machine, number 38, in the hands of Eric Bridges. So they're safely out of Palmer and starting to head down towards Agostini this time through. The two cars with the delayed start get going now, which is Craig Horforth and Tony Levy, I believe. But as they flick their way up towards Hamilton this time through, Mike Thompson still leading the way at this stage. And as you can see, they're all still within touching distance of each other, including that number 20 car of Faye Noble Evans, who really didn't get a great start at all. The purple and the black cars dropped a long, long way down through the order, and she's behind the number 46 car of Ashley White here. So Faye Noble Evans started third, I think down to sixth, is it? At the start of the first lap of the race as they charge their way with the tailwind downhill, and we're going to have a change for the lead because Jonathan Lovell is going to pick up the lead of the race as they head down in towards Brundle and Nelson. Jonathan Lovell leads the way. In the background is Faye Noble Evans going to pick the pocket of Ashley White. Yes, she does. She goes through and picks up one place, so she is now at least up inside the top six. She runs a little bit wide though coming out of Nelson, and that might just allow Ashley White a glimmer of hope to squeeze his way back through, but couldn't quite convert it. So flicking our way through Coram for the first time, then into the braking area at Murray's. It's Jonathan Lovell and Mike Thompson out front leading the way, as they were doing in race number one, squabbling over the lead. Third place from sixth on the grid was Perry Darling. I did say there was a bit of shuffling when the lights went out, as though somebody had maybe had a bit of a stall. In fact, no, fourth place for Perry Darling it will be, because it's Wayne Gregory who started fourth, who is up to third. Then it's Perry Darling, followed by the yellow car, which will be Sarah Thompson. Eric Bridges wiggling around in the background of the shot. Almost made a mistake under braking there towards Ritchie's corner. Gathered up the moment as the tail end briefly reminded him that there was distinct lack of grip compared to what he was expecting. So 22 minutes to go. Just one lap completed so far. And already Jonathan Lovell starting to sprint away from Mike Thompson in the lead of the race. Sarah Thompson also looking to see what she might be able to do to try and close it on Perry Darling at the wheel of number 81 car that lies ahead. But for Jonathan Lovell, who has been so dominant this season, so he finished second earlier on today, he has finished on the podium in every single race of the 13 that we've had so far this season, on the top step on 10 occasions, in second place on 2 occasions, and in third position on just 1 occasion so far this year. So his worst result of the year was third place at Silverstone on the Grand Prix circuit. Been a mega season for Jonathan Lovell. Perry Darling still feeling the pressure from Sarah Thompson that sits behind. Sarah at the wheel of the yellow and the red machine, looking to try and push hard in terms of the point scoring coming into this weekend. Sarah Thompson is something like 6th in the championship coming into this weekend. We haven't seen her on the overall podium other than 4th place being her best so far this year. A couple of 4th places, a 5th and a few 6ths, but she's there in 5th at the moment. She's got Faye Noble Evans trying to close in behind her, who is bringing with her Ashley White as well at the wheel of the 46 car. Here the Pirelli tyres squealing hard as they thread their way through the bomb hole for the second time and up towards Coram, and then into the really difficult transition as you're transitioning from the right-hand bend at Coram to the left-hand bend at Murray's. So you try to rotate the car and brake and change direction from right to left at the same time. Very easy to unsettle a rear-engine car. So Jonathan Lovell, new fastest lap of the race that time through, 2 minutes 15.698. So still about 2.5 seconds shy of the fastest lap that we had from earlier on today, but they are so limited to the amount of tyres you can utilise in Class 3, or the Boxster Cup as it's also known, so their tyres will be feeling slightly second-hand because you only get 2 sets for the whole season, so 14 races, plus, of course, qualifying sessions as well, 7 qualifying sessions, and you only get 2 sets of tyres for the whole year. So by the time we get to the last race of the year, they are going to be struggling a little bit. Thankfully, though, on the treaded tyres that they run, all control Pirelli treaded tyres, they also don't have rain to worry about. It's a nice dry circuit at the moment. So Mike Thompson is going quickly through the first sector this time through, trying to close up the 1.4 second gap between himself and Jonathan Lovell in the lead of the race. We've still got Perry Darling and Sarah Thompson fighting over 4th and 5th, but it seems though Perry Darling at the wheel of an 81 car now has edged away slightly more in his efforts to try and scoop up a 4th place. Earlier on today he finished in 3rd position, Perry Darling, which is not the first time we've seen him on the podium. He's already had a couple of 3rds. Prior to that race earlier on today, his best result of the season, Perry Darling, was 2nd position at Silverstone on the Grand Prix circuit. Well, here he comes down towards the end of the Bentley Straight. Sarah Thompson, then Faye Noble-Evans, followed by Ashley White, all still together. And what's this that we've got going on? That will be the car of Will Toon working his way through and past Sarah Wood, so that would have been an overtake for 12th and 13th position. Will Toon up to 12th now. Sarah dropping down into 13th position at the wheel of the number 24 car. Craig Harvath is just heading through shot there. We can also see just coming down towards us now Jessica Wilkinson at the wheel of her largely silver car with the pink flashes right down the centre. But Phil Graham is the next target for Will Toon. Now that he's got past Sarah Wood, he's now closed in onto the number 28 car of Phil Graham. And well, he thought he was going to try around the outside there at Nelson. You can see there's a bit of damage to the front right corner of the car. That wasn't from the race earlier on today. That happened in testing yesterday, I believe. So they just had to tape up the light cluster of that car. And more fights going on here for what will be 9th and 10th places, final 2 places inside the top 10. So Craig Horvath fighting away with Tony Levy, who by the sounds of things there missed the gear, or one of the two did, because I could just hear in the background of the shot that all of a sudden all the revs disappeared from a car as it shifted up 2 gears rather than the 1. Now the battle for the lead of the race has come down because on the previous lap Mike Thompson set the fastest lap of the race, 2 minutes 14.950. That's still about a second shy of the fastest lap that was set by Mike in the race earlier on today. But the lead advantage is now just down to 1.1 seconds between Jonathan Lovell, and you can see, yeah, to the naked eye, it's certainly come down, hasn't it? The silver car with the blue wheels and the red bumpers, Jonathan Lovell. The almost works Porsche livery in the hands of Mike Thompson. And over the course of the first sector of this lap, Mike Thompson is again a little bit quicker than the race leader. So it was 1.1 seconds at the start of the lap. It's going to be down to about 1 second by the time they get down towards the bottom of the Bentley Straight. And again, through the middle sector of this lap, Mike Thompson is a few thousandths of a second quicker than the race leader, Jonathan Lovell. So the gap could be just below a second at the end of this lap. And Mike Thompson, if he gets the 3rd sector correct, might set another fastest lap of the race this time through. We'll have to wait and see. So they weave their way through Coram, and then we'll dive onto the brakes for the left-hander at Murray's, pick up the apex, avoid the sausage curb on the inside, be careful not to run out wide beyond the painted red and white curbs, because there's a track sensor if you head onto the green painted tarmac that takes a picture of your car and informs the officials you've gone beyond the circuit limits. And as they come over the start-finish line this time through, 4 laps completed, another new fastest lap of the race for the for the car in second place. 2 minutes 14.601 for Mike Thompson. Now means he is within 9/10 of a second of the race leader. Overtake there as Jessica Wilkinson sneaks up the inside of Craig Horvath. So that will be 2 places gained, I think, on that lap potentially for Craig Horvath. Or has Craig Horvath lost a couple of places? That looks as though the car ahead of Jessica Wilkinson may well be Tony Levy's car. So it may well be that Craig Horvath has dropped from 9th down to 11th. As we look back at our race leader once more, And Jonathan Lovell, I think, has stabilised the situation to a degree, or has he? No, first sector of this lap, the car behind is a 1/10.5 of a second quicker once more, so Mike Thompson bringing that gap down to now about 3/4 of a second as they head up towards Hamilton, this time on lap number 5. Still got the car of Wayne Gregory sitting there in 3rd place. Then it's Perry Darling, Sarah Thompson, Faye Noble-Evans and Ashley White. That completes the top 7 for you. Eric Bridges is very much on his own in 8th place by the look of things. And then it will be Tony Levy and Jessica Wilkinson, who are 9th and 10th. And yes, it was Craig Horvath who had lost 2 places. He has dropped outside of the top 10 now, down to 11th at the wheel of number 125. Now, Jonathan Lovell has had a brilliant middle sector of the lap this time through. He's about half a second quicker than Mike Thompson, so he has stabilised the fact that the gap was diminishing, and if anything now he's managed to find a bit more pace. So the gap, subject to what they do in the final sector of this lap, the circuit broken into 3 sectors, subject to what they do in the final sector, the gap might be back out to just over a second again once more between the number 21 of Jonathan Lovell, who leads the way, and remember is already champion for this year, and Mike Thompson, who runs 2nd on the road, has had to finish 2nd to Jonathan Lovell on so many occasions, and of course mathematically now he's going to finish 2nd to him in the championship. There goes the 4th place car of Perry Darling. This is closing the gap on Wayne Gregory. The previous lap he was a 1/10 of a second quicker. Here comes the number 53 car of Wayne Gregory up towards the start finish line, followed by Perry Darling, and the gap between the pair of them, yes, it did come down that time through. And I think that Perry Darling is also bringing the yellow car of Sarah Thompson with him as well. So yeah, 3rd, 4th and 5th all getting closer to each other that time through. The quickest car in 5th place, the slowest car in 3rd. So the gap is concertinaing up with 13 minutes to go. And Jonathan Lovell last time through, having scooped up now another extra championship point for the fastest lap. 2 minutes 14.267 from him. I said the gap would come out to just over a second. Well, it's just over a second and a half actually, as you can see on the left of your screens. Faye Noble-Evans in 6th position is now very much on her own as well. She hasn't really caught up with the car of Sarah Thompson ahead of her. She has dispensed, however, with the largely white car of Ashley White that sits behind. So she hasn't really got anybody to play with at this stage. The best of the battles that we've got is possibly down towards the bottom of the top 10 at the moment, with Carl Horvath under big pressure from the 51 car of Tony Levy. These 2 cars were separated just by less than 4/10 of a second as they came over the start-finish line that time through. Albeit they are fighting over 10th and 11th place. And in reality, the difference between 10 points and 9 points in the championship. So we're past the halfway point of the race now. Jonathan Lovell has not led every lap, but has seemed to have controlled this race a little bit more, and hasn't quite had the intense pressure from Mike Thompson he's had on the previous encounter earlier on today. Craig Horvath still clinging on to the final place inside the top 10, despite the fact that the silver number 51 car of Tony Levy is still not that far behind. But here comes the race leader now to complete 6 laps over the start-finish line. 6 laps completed. You can see the swirls down the side of the car from the close but fair racing that we had earlier on today. That's Pirelli tyre from Mike Thompson's car down the side of the race leader's car. And where has Mike Thompson gone on that lap? Has his transponder failed, or has he dropped down through the order? No, he's dropped. There's clearly a problem, because there is there is Wayne Gregory in 2nd place, followed by Perry Darling in 3rd and Sarah Thompson in 4th. Faye Noble-Evans and Ashley White are 5th and 6th, and Mike Thompson hasn't come over the start-finish line that time through. Quite what's happened to him, I don't think our cameras have picked up on yet, but he's gone missing somewhere out on circuit, and he's gone missing somewhere in the 3rd and final sector. So somewhere between Brundle and Nelson, the bomb hole Coram and Murray's is where that car is, somewhere. Because all of a sudden I saw him drop down on the timing screens and just wondered, sometimes that happens when the car's transponder fails. and therefore the timekeepers don't have the electronic signal that's sent to him. But no, he's still tumbling down through the order, Mike Thompson, so it doesn't look it's going to be a happy end to the season for him. So mathematically he couldn't have done any more anyway. He is runner-up in the championship, but that's just sort of sealed his fate now. And hopefully we'll try and get some sort of glimpse as to what has happened with that car. So Jonathan Lovell now very much on his own in this race, leading by nearly 12 seconds from Wayne Gregory in second position, and that will more than please Wayne Gregory if he can hang on to it. So Wayne Gregory so far this year hasn't done the full season, only appeared at Silverstone on the Grand Prix circuit I think for the first time, and then we saw him back at Brands, a couple of 6th places, and he finished 5th earlier on today, which was his best result of the season. Well, he could be on to finish in 2nd place in the final race of the year, because that's where he is at the moment, and he's about 1 3/4 seconds up the road from Perry Darling. So Mike Thompson has come back round and is now in the pit lane area, so clearly some sort of mechanical issue with his car has brought him into the pit lane, so he's retired that car from the race. So Jonathan Lovell now is very much on his own car, which is a championship winning car that is for sale, as you can see on the bonnet of it at the moment. Very affordable way to go Porsche racing. No, motorsport is cheap, let's not try and kid ourselves, but if you want to race a Porsche, you'd be well advised to look at the Boxster Cup. They do everything they can to make sure that all of the cars are equal in terms of performance. You are very limited to the amount of tyres that you can put on the car as well, and as you can see, there's always somebody largely to race with, and this is Craig Horvath, who is sitting there in 9th position. He has got Tony Levy right behind him, and then the car of Will Toon is next up. Will, whose father Andy will be racing in the Porsche Club with Pirelli race later on. So this is the fight for 9th, 10th and 11th position. The novice cross still on the back of Will Toon's car. That's the yellow square with the black diagonal cross through the centre of it, indicating he's not got the requisite number of signatures, which is 6 on his racing licence, to be able to remove that cross as yet. Just forewarns cars that are coming up behind you that it's a less experienced driver that they're coming up to. But certainly for Will Toon, there's racing in the blood, that's for sure, because he's putting in a good performance here at 11th place and hanging on to the coattails of both Tony Levy and Craig Horvath, who lie ahead. So 3 as 1. Those are the cars all dip down at similar times as they briefly dab the brakes, but then carry a lot of speed through Ritchie's corner. It's still a very, very quick corner. And then from there, you're straight into the heavy, heavy braking area for the tight right-hand Wilson hairpin. And the 3 of them still all together. Slightly wider line taken into the hairpin by Will Toon to try and maybe straighten up the exit a little bit more and carry a bit more momentum off it, but didn't think it quite worked for him. And now we've got Tony Levy, who's trying to sneak up the inside of Craig Horvath and steal 9th place away as they head round through Palmer that time through. That didn't work. It compromised his run through Palmer, and from attack he's now back to defence because he's having to work hard to try and keep Will Toon behind him as they head in towards the braking area for Agostini. Has he made it through? No, he hasn't. So still the white and black and orange car of Will Toon sits at the tail end of that little trio of cars for 9th, for 10th and 11th place. Another overtaking opportunity coming up at Oggie's if he wants to try it, but no, he's not going to try it there. He'll just concentrate on getting a good exit out of Oggie's, and in particular the next right-hander, which is Williams. Good exit out of Williams means you carry all of that momentum all the way down the Bentley straight and in towards the braking area for Brundle and Nelson, but ran a little bit wide there. Right, Mike Thompson back on circuit, so whatever the problem was with his car has clearly been sorted. Now, he has dropped off the lead lap now. He has come out ahead of Faye Noble-Evans and is doing absolutely the right thing you should do as a racing driver when you've had that problem. As frustrated as you might be the race hasn't gone your way, now, it's not fair to hold up other cars that haven't had issues, and Faye Noble-Evans, even though she's very much on her own in 5th place, she's, what, I think 8 seconds behind the car ahead of her and 11 seconds in front of the car behind, but again, Mike doing the sensible thing there, letting the quicker car go through, not interrupting their race. But equally, depending on what was wrong with that car, this might be a lap where you just feel, is the car doing what it ought to be doing now? Does it feel strange? If it does feel strange, he may opt to come back in the pits at the end of this lap if it's not quite right. But for the moment, all looks good, I would say. Phil Graham is running in 12th position at the moment. If he looks in his mirrors, he'll see Sarah Wood is absolutely there, as the two of those head round through Coram. They are on their 8th lap at the moment. The race leader has already completed 8 and is on his 9th. But all the way down through the order, you can see there are battles. Probably the loneliest driver out there at the moment is Jonathan Lovell, the race leader, because he's 10, nearly 11 seconds up the road from anybody at this stage. Wayne Gregory is in 2nd place, Perry Darling 3rd, Sarah Thompson, Faye Noble-Evans and Ashley White wrap up the top 6, but back towards this squabble we've got going on between Phil Graham and Sarah Wood. They turn their way through the right-hander at Ritchie's and then start to descend into the heavy braking area yet again at Wilson. We saw the two of them have a good squabble earlier on in race number 1. Ultimately, Sarah Wood came out on top and finished, as it was in the end, about 30 seconds ahead of Phil Graham, but in the early stages of the race they were absolutely together. Well, we're now into the latter stages of this race and they are still together. And is Phil Graham going to return the favour to Sarah Wood this time through, and he'll finish ahead? We'll have to wait and see. So Mike Thompson back on track. All clearly is fine with his car, whatever it was. He's back out there, didn't see it. You know, it might just have been something like a puncture or something like that. Maybe he picked up a bit of debris and a puncture, and by the time the team had sort of realised that he was coming in and he'd had to limp his way round, and then you bolt a new wheel on, which is, you know, 4 or 5 wheel nuts to take off before you put it on and send it back out. Might have been something as simple as that, because all looks good now, and the sector times he's putting in are as quick, if not quicker, than most out there. So there's no ill effects for whatever the problem was, but the damage is done. 2 laps off the lead, 14th position. And 14th position would still net him 6 championship points. Right, this is Will Toon now trying all the way around the outside of Tony Levy to get the inside line for Murray's. Can he get the car stopped? No, he runs a little bit wide, so Tony Levy should, in a straight line, be able to get on the gas that little bit quicker and draw himself alongside. So the two of them go side by side up the centre straight. You've still got Craig Horvath right behind them as well. Now, has Tony Levy got enough straight line speed advantage to sneak over the nose of Will Toon as they're heading towards Ritchie's? He's confident he's got enough room. Yes, he has. He grabs the play. So just as Will Toon thought he got the job done, just got on the brakes that little bit too late coming in towards Murray's. And you can see, yeah, straight away, Tony Levy was able to reassert himself into, as far as he's concerned, his rightful 9th position. Will Toon down to 10th, and Craig Horvath still not out of it. They're in 11th place with now only 2.5 minutes, just under, remaining in the final race of the year for the Woods Food Services Porsche Club Motorsport Boxster Cup. So Jonathan Lovell over the start-finish line. This will be on his final lap of the race. So what has been a brilliant season for Jonathan Lovell, looking as though it is going to be another win. So 14 races at the end of the season, and it could well be 11 victories for Jonathan Lovell. A couple of seconds and a third, so pretty much not maxing out the season, but not far off a perfect racing season. Might have lost the odd pole position here and there, might have lost the odd fastest lap here and there, might have lost the odd win here and there, but he's been on the podium, if he stays where he is now, in every single race so far, and on the top step already on 10 occasions this season. But there's still work to do at the moment. He is threading the car through Agostini for the final time and is slowly edging up onto the coattails of the battle that's going on between Phil Graham and Sarah Wood, who are running in 12th and 13th places respectively. Now, Jonathan Lovell is still 10 seconds up the road from Wayne Gregory, so I'd imagine he will still look to try and get past these back markers, because he doesn't want to slow his speed too much. So he picks off Sarah Wood, who drives neatly and stays out of harm's way. And now Jonathan Lovell in a straight line should be able to rather effortlessly pick off Phil Graham, because he's got good momentum. And Phil will just look across, yet blends out the throttle. He can now concentrate his battle on keeping Sarah Wood back behind once more. But for Jonathan Lovell, he is on for yet another win this season. It certainly looks as though Wayne Gregory is on for his best result of the season so far as well. We've not seen him on the podium, and it's looking as though he is on for his first podium of the year so far. And I think even if those problems hadn't have befallen Mike Thompson, Wayne Gregory would still have been on the podium. It was all down to the start for Wayne Gregory, from 4th on the grid to 3rd, and then with the problems for Mike Thompson up to 2nd. But for this man here, Jonathan Lovell, the car is for sale. It may well be the last time that he drives it, because I'm sure someone will be interested in buying a championship-winning car as Jonathan Lovell comes over the start-finish line and grabs the final checkered flag of the 2023 season in the Woods Food Services Porsche Club Championship Boxster Cup. He comes through to claim win number 11 of the year, and it was certainly a dominant win in the end. 2nd place for Wayne Gregory. He'll be as pleased as punch with that one as he grabs his best result of the season so far at the wheel of the number 53 car. And Perry Darling comes through to finish in 3rd position, which was where he finished on the race earlier on today. So a couple of podium finishes to the end of the season for Perry Darling, who finishes in 3rd place overall. Faye Noble-Evans comes through to finish in 4th overall. She managed to get herself ahead of Sarah Thompson on that final lap of the race. So she just managed to sneak through by a 2.5 in the end. So Faye Noble-Evans, 4th, Sarah Thompson 5th. But we've still got this battle going on that we need to keep an eye on between Tony Levy and Will Toon. And just off the back of that, car number 125, which is Craig Horvath as well. So this is still for 9th, 10th and 11th places, as Ashley White and Eric Bridges come through to claim the checkered flag in 6th and 7th place respectively. So these will be the final couple of cars shortly to go over the start-finish line. I think Jessica Wilkinson has just taken the checkered flag, so these are the last 3 cars that will take the checkered flag in the season. And Will Toon is now trying all the way around the outside of Tony Levy. He tried this before and then had the inside line, but outbraked himself going in towards Murray's. He doesn't quite go for the move this time through, but he'll try and get a good run coming out of the corner. However, he's slow coming out of the corner. He's going to get picked off by Craig Horvath on the run to the flag potentially. So it is going to be Tony Levy who will come through to finish in 9th place. And who's going to take 10th in the end as they come up towards the checkered flag? It is, by the look of things, just Will Toon that grabs it by 58 thousandths of a second from Craig Horvath in the end. So even the final cars to take the checkered flag was squabbling away at the end of another brilliant season of racing in the Porsche Boxster Cup here at Snetterton. So as the cars make their way around the circuit, then we will very shortly be able to just confirm some results for you. So let's confirm the results then of the final race of the season for the Woods Food Services Porsche Boxster Cup. It was Jonathan Lovell that claimed the win, his 11th of the season, with Wayne Gregory finishing as a best result of the season in 2nd place overall, and double podiums today for Perry Darling, who was there in 3rd. Faye Noble-Evans was 4th, grabbing that place from Sarah Thompson on the final lap of the race, who finished in 5th place, with Ashley White in 6th place. Eric Bridges was 7th. In 8th place then, it was Jessica Wilkinson, who dropped from 5th on the grid. 9th place went the way of Tony Levy, and then it was Will Toon who, by the skin of his teeth, clung on to the final place inside the top 10 by 58 thousandths of a second from Craig Horvath, who finished in 11th place. Phil Graham was there in 12th place, and Sarah Wood finished in 13th place with Mike Thompson a couple of laps off everybody else as a result of that call to the pit lane. It wasn't to be for him in the final race of the season. So that wraps up all of our racing action from the Porsche Boxster Cup for 2023. Thanks for joining us, but we will be back with another Porsche Club Great Britain race with Pirelli later on today. So from Snetterton for the moment, it's goodbye.